Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Africa. It's a beautiful Thursday. Today is Thursday, right?
Yes, a beautiful Thursday morning.
Yeah, in the city of Abuja. And I'm sure it's a beautiful day wherever you are across the globe. It's Daybreak Africa on television, Nigeria, and I am Quest Ahundu. With me is
Priscilla Ajeshola.
Today is another beautiful day, like we said, bringing you information, entertainment, everything that keeps you informed and keeps your day running, keeps your day running. Whatever you need, we're here to keep you informed and keep you satisfied. You can share, like, and comment on the topics we're going to be discussing. Call your friends and let them also come have an insight.
It's definitely going to be an amazing time, and we actually have a guest coming up. We're not going to give you any details yet. You'll find out in the course of the program.
And we talk about transparency. We're going to be considering transparency and accountability in governance or in government or governance generally, both at the federal, state, and local government level. And our guest is going to come help us do justice to how involved citizens of the country are or in touch with their leaders and the people that represent them in all spheres of government.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about.
All right, so let's go on this short break. When we return, Daybreak Africa will continue. We're giving you some few headlines and some few things that will keep you informed. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
And that was the headline news on Television Nigeria's Daybreak Africa. We hope you've gotten informed on some of the happenings in Nigeria. And at this point, we're going to take you across Africa. Since you already know things happening in Nigeria, it's time to find out stuff happening in the African frontiers. News across Africa is up next. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Good morning and welcome to News Across Africa. Lawyers for South Africa's former President Jacob Zuma have dismissed reports that he will be in Parliament on Thursday for his successor, Cyril Ramaphosa's annual State of the Nation address, saying he is still receiving medical treatment abroad. A tweet posted earlier on the official Twitter account of Parliament said, Mr. Zuma will attend the event along with his two predecessors, Kgalema Motleni and Thabo Mbeki. Mr. Zuma has been charged with corruption over a multi-million-dollar arms deal negotiated about 20 years ago. He denies any wrongdoing and says the charges are political. Kenya's opposition leader Raila Odinga has struck a reconciliatory note in his final tribute to former President Daniel Arap Moi, despite the two men's bitter past. He told mourners at Mr. Moi's burial that they both forgave each other and made peace. He further described the late leader as a true Kenyan hero. Mr. Odinga was imprisoned for 6 years by the then President Moi's administration over his suspected role in the 1982 attempted coup. The leader of the opposition MRC party that boycotted Cameroon's parliamentary and local elections has told reporters that the Anglophone crisis was a major reason for the decision. The ongoing conflict between Cameroon's mainly French-speaking government and separatist fighters demanding independence for the country's English-speaking heartlands has displaced more than 500,000 people. Clashes and gunfire were reported during Sunday's poll in several Anglophone towns, plus separatists had ordered a lockdown earlier this week. MRC leader Maurice Kamto was jailed for 9 months after losing the 2018 presidential election and now lives abroad. A tour operator in South Africa who captured a rare sight of a baboon grooming a lion cub at the Kruger National Park has said there has been no sighting of the animal since he took the picture last week. The picture caused huge interest, with some saying it was a live reenaction of Rafiki and Simba, the characters from the Lion King animation film. He added that the sight was unusual as baboons are known to kill leopards and lion cubs. Brentford's Josh Da Silva says he's open to playing for Angola if any opportunity comes around. He affirms that his parents were from Angola and he is eligible to play for both Palancas Negras and England, where he was born. The 21-year-old Brentford midfielder is having a stellar season with the Bees, helping them mount a strong push for Premier League's promotion. The former Arsenal Youth Academy player has been a regular feature in Brentford's team this season. He has so far played 29 games, scoring 6 goals. And that is news across Africa. I am Ade Della. Stay tuned. Daybreak.
always something happening in the world of entertainment. From trending hot topics to even hotter music videos, the best events, and the most interesting guests, of course.
It just pushed me.
So find all of that juiciness and more on Posh Spice, the show that brings you all of the most entertaining content from the entertaining world of entertainment.
That's lit, man!
So watch me bring sizzling hot content to you on Television Nigerian. You can watch us on our nice concert platforms, and if you are not a fan of television, watch us on our social media platforms and our web TV, of course. Don't miss it. Seriously, don't miss it. My job literally depends on it.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. If, like we said earlier, if you're just joining us, we mentioned earlier that we're going to have a guest in the studio who is going to discuss with us accountability and transparency, especially in government. Transparency, accountability, participation, and inclusion in recent times have become a universal feature in all policies, especially of government in across nations. Accountability, transparency, and participation in government has become a vital, very vital embodiment in the politics and the open politics that occur in the development of every country. Citizens and their involvement in these levels of transparency is also very, very important. But with us this morning to throw in more light on this very interesting topic, especially in the areas of accountability, both as regards to leadership and followership. Now, before we even go into discussion with the guest or introducing the guest, we would like you to also go into our comment section. As you listen to the conversation, let us hear your opinion. Let us hear what you have to say about this interesting topic, transparency and accountability, especially as regards government of the government of Nigeria and then this present administration. All right, let Priscilla will help us do the honors of introducing our guest.
Oh yes, and today to dissect and talk about this very, very important topic is none other than Comrade Benjamin Dennis. He's the Executive Director, Public-Private Initiative on Youth and Community Development. So I don't think there's anybody in a better position to speak on this topic. Good day, sir. You're very welcome.
Welcome to Daybreak, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's go straight into the discussion. Now, the issue about transparency in government, we'll make reference to this present administration when they came into power. The mantra they rolled on was that they're going to fight corruption, they're going to be a government that is transparent to the people. Now, considering transparency and accountability in government, what do you think has been the scorecard of this administration before we even open it broad beyond this government?
Let me start by saying thank you for having me once more. The issue of accountability and transparency in governance is very key for any developed nation. And for this present administration, that one of their cardinal points before they came to power, they assured the Nigerian people, the citizens, that they are going to fight corruption. And when we talk about fighting corruption, it's still part of check and balance, and sometimes like an issue that has to do with monitoring and evaluations of people you have given a particular mandate, and they need to account for that. Maybe a mandate given to you to serve, as we are looking at governance, to be specific. Mandate given to people, especially political leaders, to serve. But you cannot talk about accountability and transparency in governance without the people that gave people the mandate to ask them to account for it. There's a strategy here.
Yeah.
And sometimes we talk about accountability in governance. The politicians cannot account if the people that gave them the mandate don't demand for them to account for it.
Yeah.
So there is a huge gap that has to do with public participation in governance. And this huge gap has given room for a lot of things not being accounted for, especially when it comes to service delivery. Something has to do with taxpayers' fund that are given to some certain people to deliver the basic infrastructures or basic amenities that is required from leaders to give back to the people. That is part of accountability. But the situation is so worrisome because every day the gap continues to get widened. The gap in the sense that public participation in governance, especially active participation, is key. And when the people are not participating, it becomes a major problem.
All right, let me take you up on that. What do you think? You spoke about, you've laid emphasis on the gap, especially with citizens demanding accountability from leaders and people that they are put in places of authority. What do you think is responsible for this gap? Is it that failures from the past? Is it that the people do not trust, but we elected them in the first place? So what do you think is responsible for this gap? Like you said, it's even becoming wider by the day.
I believe we should change our political mentality as Nigerians if we want to understand what democracy actually implies. We might be practicing a political terminology, but we're not following the basis, because we borrowed this from the developed nations, and you find out that in the developed nations, why it's working is because the people are being given necessary information. This gap I'm talking about is more pronounced in the grassroots. Remember, it should be a bottom-to-top approach. But in a situation where the misconception is from the top to bottom approach, you fail to understand that the bottom has been neglected. And who are this bottom? These are Nigerians. This is where the Nigerians reside. The majority of Nigerians are in the bottom. And it will marvel you to understand that this is where you have high level of unemployment, criminality activities, insecurity, and all sorts of ills. And except we understand that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's not the government of elected politicians, by the politicians, and for the politicians, which is the concept we are having here. And if we change our mentality to understand that we must go beyond being active just during the election process, it should be all through the process, because the people are the driving force of every democracy. And in a situation where you find out that the people are not even being empowered by information, enlightenment, orientation, where even the public agencies that are meant as a responsibility to do those things are not even functioning in the grassroots. You only see them in the urban cities. And they glamour us. But when you go down to the grassroots, you'll find out that the problem is every day increasing. And the people must get involved to start tackling these things. And the torchlight must be beamed down to the grassroots to see how we continue to enhance awareness, enlightenment, so that people can actually start holding leaders accountable from the grassroots to the top. You must know your councillor, you must know your state house of assembly, you must know your community chiefs, you must know the organization, like private organization doing business. It's not only governance, because the private sector is part of governance. The public sector, which is even the government, and where the problem lies is the people's sector. The people's sector is the driving force of every democracy. Where is the people's sector?
You just made mention of the people's sector, and I feel like it's the same thing as the grassroots. And the fact is, we have the private sector as well and the public sector. So how do you feel that we can combine these three, make them, in balance? Let there be a balance in a way that there is, some kind of, inclusion from all of these sides.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you watch definition of democracy, it's a triple P. The people, the people, the people. So you have the people public sector, the people private sector. Where is the people public sector? And the foundation that gave birth to the double P that is recognized is the foundation that's been neglected, which is the people's sector. So if we have this, if we put things right, we'll continue to understand that the people in the grassroots have been neglected, both by their leaders or due to the lack political orientation on how to engage the people, how to engage their leaders. So what we personally I felt is that there should be more awareness creations, town hall meetings, engaging some key players like the traditional rulers, like the faith-based, like the market women, like the churches, like the schools. These are institutions that initially are working very well. And presently they are still working, but there must be a synergy to understand that these components are the key players that must reawaken and sustain the people's sector. It should just be you have in the church, you're having a mosque, it's just for your own personal belief. No, it's the people's sector as regard key players coming together to awaken the people's sector.
All right, sir. Now let's narrow it down to your role as the Executive Director of Public-Private Initiative on Youth and Community Development. What role are you playing, just like she mentioned, what role are you playing to close up or to marry the three, like you said, the three Ps and emphasis on the last P of the public sector? What role are you playing to ensure that people, in fact, when you were talking, you mentioned unemployment and I realize that it centers mostly on the young people until change begins to emanate from them. They begin to make these demands and understand their role in governance. Okay, so what exactly do you do to marry these three sectors together?
Beautiful. If you look at the name Public-Private Initiative, the purpose initially was to establish a public-private partnership to capture the triple P I told you.
Yeah.
But the government looked at it from the private sector and they gave us double P and they gave us the I to look for the people's sector, which I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah.
So we decided to also, because we focus on bringing this triple P in the grassroots, the public-private partnership has been able to achieve this by bringing private sector, the public sector, and the people's sector. We have been able to establish what we call the Community People's Office, functioning presently in FCT Nyanya, for example. Then the community chiefs are the ones, and the faith-based, the key stakeholder I mentioned initially, are the ones that now form this Community People's Office. It runs 24/7, just like the public sector and the private sector. Now the private sector and the public sector, through this initiative, has been able to come together. There's employment, there's all sort of enlightenment, there's all sort of, people are not understanding that the institution of the people must wake up to engage the double institutions. So we in that place have been able to achieve what we call the Community People's Office, which we believe is the I that they didn't give us the P. So now, as I speak, we also have what they call the Awake Nigeria Awareness Campaign to bridge this political gap. Because the truth about the matter, politics, apart from creation, is the next level, and that is governance. So if anything must move, there must be patriotic governance. So what we did with Awake Nigeria Awareness Campaign is coming up on the 26th and 28th of this month, is to see how we can create awareness within the community base, telling people that democracy is built upon the people. The people has to wake up, start demanding for accountability. Accountability not only from one political sector, but from the second sector too. Because we talk about governance, we have in the kind of misconception here. Governance in the public sector and governance in the private sector. These two sectors are made to serve the people. And the people are the ones empowering them with their taxpayers' money. So if we don't wake up and see how we can establish an institutions that will be able to channel these things, that become a problem. So Awake Nigeria Awareness Campaign is strictly to raise public awareness and see how Nigeria can be conscious-minded and take advantage of the establishment of the Community People's Office, which is the People's Office, which we are trying to see how we can replicate all over the nations, looking at community base, so that people can now start demanding and also functioning without waiting for politicians to attend to them.
Okay, sir. Now, I want you to give more clarification. If you create an office, for instance, a community, what did you call it?
Community People's Office.
Community People's Office. And people, for instance, we come and make a demand or a request that XYZ company or XYZ politician or public office holder is not giving us what he said he would, and we are not benefiting from all the promises or all that we should benefit from. What role do you take, or what role do you play after that complaint has been made?
Beautiful. Beyond the Awake Nigeria Awareness Campaign, we have what they call the Community Stakeholders Interactive Town Hall Meeting. It has been going on. So come next month, March, you'll be seeing the Community Stakeholders Interactive Town Hall Meeting. This town hall meeting is to bring all the key players, including the private sector and the government.
Yeah.
And they have interface with the people. And they start to ask questions and demand for accountability. And this has been going on, and people have been delivering services. If you go down to FCTs and local government of Cairo, you'll find out that the Community Stakeholders Interactive Town Hall Meeting, is a quarterly based issue, which is our evaluation initiative, to see not only creating awareness, but how can this awareness now become profitable? We now organize Community Stakeholders Interactive Town Hall Meeting, where we look at the key players that have been neglected, the community chiefs, traditional chiefs, the faith-based organizations, the churches. These people are institutions of the Community People's Office. Yes. And they are the ones that already been given mandate by government, but we can still use those components as a way of coming together and sustain a voice. So you find that now in the Community Stakeholders Interactive Town Hall Meeting, people are now giving account of the service given to them. The last one we held, it was with Abuja and the Nepal. And they told that we brought the Nepal regional man there. They were asking questions. How can you justify your bill you give to people when you don't even give light? And at the end of the month, you demand that they must pay your money. You are not showing transparency, and you want to rob people. And we had a kind of a discussion. As I speak with you in some of the areas of Nyanya now, that issue has been addressed, and they are working as you serve, you collect your payment. It's still part of development. We have community crises like land and different issues. We call the Authority of Human Rights Commission through the town hall meeting, and they address those issues. The issue of unemployment, we talked about it, and we asked the private sector that you must always give the community people opportunity to employ them in your business places, because in the first place the community gave you a place to do business.
Yes.
We interact and we got the understanding. It's working out. We also have what we call Operation Deti the Kill, which we initiated by carrying idle youth through private sector participation, community youth. If you go there now, youth have been employed through this strategy. We also went ahead to talk about what we call Town Hall Scorecard. The scorecard initiative, apart from interacting with you, you fail to do what you're supposed to do. Come April, you will see Community Town Hall Scorecard. It is the people's assessing performances of their political leaders and corporate organizations. We have institutions of government only functioning in the urban cities. But when you come to local city, they are not empowered to function. So we in the community will also tell them that you must draw your activism down to the community, because if you're not functioning, it's as good as you're not here. Right. And we believe we are getting there.
Okay, so talking about community development, what's the role of community people? For instance, your big politician or your private company operating within your community has failed to give you roads as much as you have demanded, but you come together as a community and start something and say, okay, despite you have here and you did not notice that we have bad roads, we have been able to start something. You come and help us. So how do you encourage the people to not just demand transparency or demand from government and people in places of authority, but take initiative and do something for themselves?
Beautiful. Yeah. It's not only, we all are government.
Yeah.
Government is not only people in the government office. That's the misconception people don't understand. You as a citizen, you are government. In the media house, you are also doing a good job. You also enlighten the people. You are government. So we are looking at people to start inculcating morals, normal ways of living life. that you don't just expect the government to do all. They're what they call community support initiative, whereby some certain things can also be taken, some people can take responsibility of tackling some minor things. In Nigeria, we just believe that the government is the government and the government is just the government. But the truth about it is that the government is the people and the people should be the government. And there are the people, if you are the driving force, there are a lot of, we can sacrifice. People have sacrificed, and today you see beautiful nations.
Yeah.
We have our forefathers, those that brought the blueprint that today we have tumbled it the other way around. They sacrifice. They are patriotic in nature. In a situation when you are not patriotic, even as a father, even as a mother, even your little domain, if you contribute your little quota and we all join effort together, then we can now say we are moving towards asking for accountability. You must have a spirit of that you have the zeal that someone can look at you and say, this person is transparent, before you can be able to ask on that person that bring this for me. That's what I believe.
You spoke about, your initiatives and your plans towards youth development, and that struck me very well. So I want you to expatiate, tell us more about it. Because personally, I feel like generally the youth in Nigeria are sidelined, and most times when you talk about youth, people just feel like they're unserious people. I hear that a lot, and I'm a youth, so in some kind of way, I feel like it's a jab to us. So I want you to, please expatiate on this whole youth development, youth plan, youth growth, youth initiative.
Beautiful. One, I would say Nigerians, we are not lazy people. In this studio, we are all youth, people are youths, active people. The truth about the matter is that youth empowerment is the key, because institutions cannot build themselves. It is persons that build institutions. And you must look at the quality of you being a youth. These people are very creative, they are energetic, they are productive, they are wide in their thinking. And you're looking at the nation, any great nation, you must build your foundation upon the young people. But young people should start taking that cognizance that, look, this nation, it is the youth that built Nigeria, and they benefited when they were youth. Why is this not happening in our time? First of all, there's an error somewhere. We correct the mentality first. Then we'll now start looking at the blueprint that young people are the energy of the nation. In your little way, in your community, continue to do something. In Nigeria's space, nothing is easy. It takes you must prove that you can succeed. And I believe if you succeed in Nigeria, you can succeed anywhere in the world. If you give your 50% of your hustle positively as a Nigerian, you give 20 anywhere in the world, you can succeed. So youth empowerment is key. We, the young ones in the community, we must mobilize ourselves through organized groups. Young people should start to organize themselves through organized groups. Groups that have positive values. Groups that can encourage skills, talent hunt, and whatever. Because there are a lot of things embedded in young people. And a lot of them don't have the access to showcase this. But that doesn't mean we will not continue to promote as an organization to our own level. We are asking private sector, public sector to also open up the space. Civil society is doing very well, the media is doing very well. Yeah. But my major problem is that I'm not a youth focusing in the urban city. We work in the rural community. I came all the way from the community to come to this place. Yeah. Because it is the community that gave birth to the formation of the local government, then the local government to state and federal. So the foundation is having a problem. So we are talking about come down to the foundation. Okay, we have natural resources. Engage the young people into agriculture. Every state has natural resources untapped. We are all looking for money from oil, where we can only collect from Abuja and share. Then why is the youth not asking those leaders, engage us into those natural resources, since we have the potential to do it? Then we know how to get the money and checkmate you not to steal our money. So the youth should start to wake up to demand for what is right. Because you can't do it for you. You must stand up to do something, then people will recognize you. But we are also advocating that they should start having community organizations, community-based forums, so that through these institutions, even because most of the people go to churches, they go to mosques, they go to school. Even as we are all here, we also go to those little communities. If we can use those communities to be preaching the norms and telling people, even in the church, you can organize empowerment program. It shouldn't always be spiritual. You can also talk about how people can be involved in governance, how people can benefit. So when we start talking about what is real, then we'll now start seeing the answer.
Yes. Then you talked about organizing ourselves in group, and then it just struck me that we should organize ourselves in group to go and beg politicians for money and all that. All right, so about not too long ago, the Freedom of Information Act was passed into law. How accessible do you think the people sector have? How much access do they have to information? Because you can't demand for what you don't even know is yours in the first place. So how available? We had an experience where a community of people were saying that from the information available to them, even though at the time it seemed like a rumor, so they went to the ministry. We heard that this thing is supposed to be allocated to us. Let's see where it is. And then they could not have access to it. They said the Oga is not around. So how accessible is this information, especially to the rural areas like you talked about?
Seriously, if you talk about the issue of accessible of information in rural areas, quite poor. As I told you earlier, we want for the look at some people like institutions like NOA, is National Orientation Agency. And we believe they're supposed to have state chapter or local chapter, I don't know. So you find out that even awareness, since awareness is lacking, people don't even know what is FOID. In the community, some people see policemen and they run away. What is your problem? Misconception. So police is supposed to be your friend, and it's not even hurting you, but you're running away. Because of that mentality, they are frightened, they lack information. But what we are trying to say is that the community people, the grassroots, they should, like through this institution we have mentioned, should start to see how we can continue to boost information. Because we are lacking, you can access information easily there. But when you organize yourself in groups like this, have a town hall meeting, you can call people that are supposed to give you a kind of responsibility of your work. Yeah. Demand for those kind of things from them. You will not be waiting for information bill alone to be able to act. You can act in an organized manner and demand for accountability. Even when you have a constraint of getting the so-called Freedom of Information Bill. I don't know how free those information are, but the name is just funny.
All right, sir. In your final thoughts, what exactly? I mean, you talked about your event coming up, but let's have more details so that people who are in those areas, the location especially, people who are in those areas can reach out and they know, and then who are the kind of people that are going to come and make a presentation so that the people can have information.
Beautiful.
At least a free one.
Yeah, in the community we'll have free information.
Yeah.
So this event is coming up on the 26th and on the 28th. On the 26th, we'll be coming up in Nasarawa, Karo, and the FCT, we're using the youth workshop. It's like we want to organize a workshop on the 26th where we gather the market women, the young people, the community chiefs, those key players. We have been working with them and they are working. We cannot work in isolation. You must work with institutions that have been recognized but neglected because they are from the grassroots. So all these people are coming together. The purpose of coming together is to see how we can empower them with awareness so that in their only two areas they will continue to sustain this awareness. Then on Friday we are carrying out a massive awareness. This edition is we came up with an effective strategic approach called the door-to-door, house-to-house, and street-to-street. What we intend to do, we'll come to your house, you will see youth workers come to your house, enlighten you, engage you, and give you a contact to know how you continue to sustain the project. Wow. So we are doing great job, and we want to encourage other Nigerians who are doing the same to continue doing the same until one day Nigeria will get across where we want to be.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It was so enlightening, and I am very, 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 very excited because I feel like this kind of initiative is what us Nigerian people have needed for the longest time. And we would like to thank you for coming on Daybreak Africa. It was really, really nice having you. I'm sure the whole of our people watching have learned a lot, and the fact that this program is coming up is definitely something big, and we're all going to make sure that we try to be in attendance.
In fact, would come and ensure that we get all the information that is needed.
We are part of the people there, so you help us to do the good job you're doing here.
All right,
TV Nigeria is doing a good job.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. One of our viewers said that an important component of leadership Peggy Shandy said, an important component of leadership is when you are leading and people are following. On this note, we want to really appreciate you for spending time to enlighten us and give us details, especially with regards to public-private initiative on youth and community development. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me.
That was, I'm sure you were enlightened and informed, and now you know exactly what to do. Demand, you cannot be, leaders cannot be leading where nobody is following, and followers must be able to demand accountability and transparency from the people they have put in authority. Daybreak Africa continues. We'll head over to Healthy Living, where we'll get the benefits. What are we considering again?
We'll find out.
All right, let's go and find out on Healthy Living.
They are an affordable source of protein, fiber, iron, and vitamins that offer many health benefits. The seeds are from flowering plants in the Fabaceae family and are classified as legumes. Welcome to Healthy Living on Television Nigerian. Today, we'll be giving you healthy tips of beans. Beans are seeds from the Fabaceae family, commonly known as the legume, pea, or bean family. Several beans grow in ponds or capsules that develop from flowers. Other legumes include peas, peanuts, and lettuce. Those beans are available dry, canned, or frozen. They differ nutritionally from green beans or wax beans, where a person eats the entire pond. Beans contain amino acids, which are the protein building blocks that the body uses to heal and to make new tissues such as bone, muscle, hair, skin, and blood. Protein is an essential nutrient. There are many types of beans. Dried beans need cooking to make them tender enough to eat. Canned and frozen beans are typically ready to eat after warming on the stove or in the microwave. Some of the most popular bean varieties include lima beans, black-eyed beans, soya beans, kidney beans, gabazo beans, navy beans, pinto beans, and red beans. Protein is a vital nutrient that plays a key role in maintaining and repairing the body. Beans are high in amino acid, the building blocks of protein. There are 20 amino acids and 9 of these are essentials. There are also two types of protein sources, complete and incomplete. Animal products, soy, and quinoa are all complete proteins, which means they all contain all 9 essential amino acids. However, of all the types of beans, only soya beans contain all 9 amino acids. People can combine incomplete proteins with nuts, seeds, dairy products, or grains at a single meal or throughout the day to make complete proteins. For example, a person can eat beans with rice or concoctions for lunch. Have black beans at lunch with almonds or cheese. Beans make an excellent source of protein for vegetarians, lower in calories and saturated fats than some other protein sources such as meat and full fat or low fat dairy products. Examples of the protein content of beans are a 1 cup or 40 grams serving of canned black beans provide 14.5 gram of protein, 16.6 gram of fiber, and 4.56 milligram of iron. A 1 cup or 155 gram serving of shelled edamame beans provides 18.5 gram protein, 8.06 gram fiber, and 3.52 mg iron. Learn more here about proteins and how to get more protein. Again, beans contain several vital nutrients, including folate, which is essential for overall health, to make healthy red blood cells and help prevent neutral tube defects in a fetus during pregnancy. 1 cup or 155 gram serving of shelled edamame beans provide 482 microgram of folate. According to research, beans are rich in polyphenols, which are type of antioxidants. Antioxidants fight the effects of free radicals, which are damaging chemicals that the body produces during metabolism and other processes. Free radicals can cause cell damage that can result in various diseases. Antioxidants help the body remove free radicals. In this way, antioxidant-rich food such as beans can protect the body from disease. While we'll be telling you more tips on other foods that provide antioxidants in our subsequent episodes. Moving on, people who consume beans regularly may be less likely to die of heart attack or other cardiovascular problem. Thanks for the time and don't forget to check us out on our social media handle for more healthy tips. Television Nigerian on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Until next time, many thanks for watching. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
Welcome back. I'm sure you were enlightened and informed, especially with our guest. All right, so Priscilla, I saw some interesting things.
Yes, I found out that there's black beans, red beans, brown beans, yellow beans.
I know green beans.
Yeah.
I think we find that in salad and all
Yeah.
that. I know brown beans. I know white beans. I don't know about red beans and black beans. I think it would be interesting to.
Yeah, I've actually seen some type of beans that are very different. I've seen some really big beans. I think they call them iron beans.
Oh.
I've even seen some bitter tasting beans. They said it's from other parts of Africa. So yes, there are different kinds of beans. Just like there are different types of species and
and varieties.
varieties.
That's really interesting because now we know the benefits of not just the beans of the regular beans that we know, but all the types of beans, even the ones we don't know.
Exactly.
That's interesting. And talking about variety, Africa is such a beautiful place.
Yes.
Nigeria, I don't know if we still have our title as Giants of Africa.
We are still the giants.
We're still the giants of Africa. We may be a giant that is not feeling too well, but we're still the giants.
Exactly.
And not too long ago, we have Burna Boy doing us proud.
Yes, Burna Boy is always doing us proud. Davido did us great.
Yes.
You know, he's doing great. His album went platinum. In fact, you know, right now Davido is like the most trending artist in Nigeria currently because he was on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out. And you know it's trending everywhere. Everybody's excited.
Okay.
Davido, you know.
I didn't intend to ask you about Davido, and you've already told me everything I need to know about Davido.
Sorry.
I was talking about the giant of Africa.
Well, Burna Boy tries to pride himself with that name, the Giant of Africa.
And he's doing well and proving himself to be a giant indeed.
Yeah.
And not to. And yesterday we heard very sad news. Sir Victor Olaya. We heard he lost his life.
Yes, that's
very sad. A legend in the entertainment industry, a giant in his own right. At the age of 89, that's really a legacy. We've lost a legend, and he has left a legacy.
Yes.
When I heard about his demise, what came to my mind was his last song with another legend, living legend, Two-Face. Two-Face Itubia, or Tubaba, like we now call him. It was interesting to have the blend of Sir Victor Olaya and Two-Face, the old and the new, come together and do that interesting collaboration. And now we've lost him. We pray that may his soul rest in peace and his family find the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. And even as an industry, entertainment industry, they've obviously lost a giant.
And personally, I'm always very shaken when we lose people like this. A few weeks ago, we lost Kobe Bryant. That shook me to the core, and now this guy. I feel like in time to come, the more we lose people, the more we realize that the time they spend, when we see them, and we should always appreciate them. We should appreciate the people around us, and the people that we love, and people that are doing something. You know.
And then for somebody like him, when he was doing music, some of us were not even born, or
Exactly.
I was born, maybe you know, born.
What?
But his legacy was what we came and met. That goes to say that it's what you do for society, what you do for your generation that lives after you. Now he's gone, but his music lives on, and all the impact of his music is what we'll keep remembering.
Exactly, and that is a lot. But to lighten our moods a little bit, let's go on to our next package: top 10 cities in Africa. Africa is beautiful, wide, vast, enormous, and we're breaking down top 10 cities in Africa. Don't quote us anywhere so nobody comes to fight us. But yeah, this is next on Daybreak Africa. In as much as Africa is perceived as the poorest continent in the world, there are some cities on the continent that would make you want to have a second thought about the general perception. These cities can rub shoulders with some big cities of the world such as Madrid, Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires, Paris, and even Tokyo. Let's take a look at the top 10 cities that made the list of top 10 most beautiful cities in Africa. Luanda, Angola. Capital of Africa's second largest oil producer, Luanda, is home to the nation's main seaport and administrative center. In the past decade, this city has achieved the most developments among any city in Africa with the help of China International Trust and Investment Corporation (CITIC). Luanda is looking more like a Western country. Agadir, Morocco. Capital of Agadir, Ida Otanen province. Agadir is one of the major urban cities of Morocco. The city has been rebuilt after the 1960 earthquake. It is now Morocco's largest seaside resort, attracting tourists from all over the world. Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, Kenya's largest city and capital. Nairobi is the most populous city in Eastern Africa, and it is one of the leading cities in Africa both politically and economically. Cape Town, South Africa. Cape Town is famous for its harbour, Table Mountain, and Cape Point. It is the most popular international tourist destination in South Africa. Cairo, Egypt, the home of civilization. Cairo is Egypt's capital and the largest city in the Middle East and second largest in Africa after Lagos. This city was named the world's 24-hour city in 2011 by Bordeaux, ahead of New York and Paris. Port Louis, Mauritius. The capital city of Mauritius, Port Louis, is one of Africa's main financial centers. This city is mostly overshadowed by its financial hub, tourism, manufacturing sector, and port facilities. This nation's languages include English and French. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Former capital, richest and largest city in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam is the major city for both business and government in Tanzania. Abuja, Nigeria. Nigeria's capital, Abuja, was built in the 80s before disposing Lagos as the capital city of the most populous black nation in the world by the administration of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, IBB, in 1991. The city is one of the richest and most expensive in Africa. 2. Tunis, Tunisia. Tunis is both the capital and the largest city of Tunisia. The greater metropolitan area of Tunis, often referred to as Grand Tunis, holds some 2.7 million inhabitants. As the capital city of the country, Tunis is the focus of Tunisian political and administrative life. It is also the center of the country's commercial activity. Johannesburg, South Africa. By population, Johannesburg is the largest and wealthiest city in South Africa. Called Africa's economic powerhouse, this city is also the largest economy of any metropolitan region in sub-Saharan Africa. Africa is beautiful and vast, and it is growing every day. Well, that's definitely beautiful. Now, if you have any plans to travel around the African continent, then you have the cities. Particularly, I think Johannesburg is where I'm going next.
Well, I think Rwanda is where I'm going next. Rwanda has evolved in so short a time and done so well for themselves. And it seems like if there was anything like the fastest developing African city, I think Rwanda will be on that list definitely.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Another country that gets me is Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt is like
so
the core of
rich
Africa.
in culture, rich in everything. Like it's a big deal. You know, I would want to visit. I don't think even for a tourist site, I think Egypt would be perfect.
Okay, I'll take you to Egypt. Tomorrow is Valentine, right?
So we'll travel tomorrow.
Let my PA get your details. We'll see to that. Now, but while we're going through the program, don't make me laugh. While we're going through the program, I was watching and waiting for Abuja, my beloved Abuja, to be on the list.
It was.
And I was going to just make trouble if Abuja was not on the list, but Lagos was not there. Lagos is a beautiful city.
I don't know why Lagos was not on that list.
Lagos should
Are you
be.
sure Lagos was not on that list?
No, Lagos was.
Sure, you were not carried away.
I wasn't. Maybe I was carried away looking for
I think
Abuja.
Lagos was on that list.
Okay,
you were carried away looking for Abuja, exactly.
All right, but I just hope that Lagos was there. If you're looking for a tourist destination, a relaxation point, and like we said, tomorrow is Valentine.
I even thought we should have had Calabar or Port Harcourt.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe next we'll just talk about beautiful cities in Nigeria. That would work too. All right, so that's very interesting. Now let's talk about a bit about entertainment. I know you're itching to say something about entertainment. What's entertaining in the entertainment?
How do you know I'm itching to say something?
Because I asked you one question about Giant of Africa and you flew to talking about Davido that I did not ask you about. Now I'm asking you.
Well, there's so much happening in the entertainment scene. First off, my thoughts about entertainment is I feel like it's becoming one-sided, and a lot of times people have something to say. But there was this debate online yesterday. Some etc. Do you know him? He's a Nigerian musician. He's not that popular anymore. There was a time he was a big deal.
Okay.
Well, he and a Nigerian media personality claimed that most of Nigerian big artists are from the southwest, and that other artists like Waje, MI, Two-Face don't get as much buzz because they're not from the southwest.
Must everything be about tribe and zone
If
and
you
region?
think about it, the Nigerian movie industry for the longest time was mostly Igbo based.
Yes.
Now that we're doing general movies that we're getting, all of that. But before now, that used to be it. So yeah.
Well, I think that the entertainment industry is
Fine.
beautiful,
Yes,
is
I
fine.
think it's fine. Just
We
leave
have
it the way it
artists
is.
from all over the country doing us proud, both in movies, in music, in everything.
Yeah.
So let's not throw this zony. Okay,
Yes,
see me talking
yes.
about zony now.
Let's not throw tribe
and
all that into it.
ethnicity
Let's just,
into entertainment.
Entertainment's the most beautiful thing
Yeah,
about
it is.
Nigeria.
Yeah, and
honestly.
one of the fastest growing industries in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Let's not bring all these divisions and
Multiplications.
all right. I'm sure you were informed even this morning. Like we always say, go to our social medias, like, share, invite your friends to follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook is Television Nigeria, on YouTube is Television Nigeria, on Instagram is tvn.news, and our website is www.tvn.news. All the information you need, this program and every other program in the past and other programs that you would enjoy, go there and then go to our comment section in any platform that you're using. Let us hear your opinion excuse me, about every topic that is being discussed or whatever you watch.
Well, it's been a beautiful time on Daybreak Africa, and we're about to leave you sadly, but we'll join you tomorrow bright and early, another beautiful day, and we'll have the best time because it's Valentine's, and I'm itching for all the gifts I'm getting. I'm everybody's Val, okay?
And I'm available to be booked.
Well, I'm Priscilla J. Shala.
And I am Quest Ahunda. Have a beautiful day. See you tomorrow.